We are ready to go. Come back to the room. Come back. Come back. Oh, I got to stand here to get into the camera. Sorry. I'm not supposed to wander. I'm a wanderer. All right. Our next topic is builder vision. And I want to introduce Frank Mondo, who is the Director of Asset Management for Jacobs. And take it away, Frank. Please welcome Frank.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. I just want to acknowledge the last presentation and the panelists. Great job by all. It is really great to see the community growing the way it has and continue to see the same folks progressing through the years. Bill and Julie, I've known them for going on 12 years now, back to the early days in the Air Force. So really great job by the panel. So thanks for all they've done for the builder community. I've got the distinct pleasure of introducing my team. Jared and Zach are here to talk about builder vision, and I'm not going to steal any of their thunder, but just let you know, in our asset management team, Jared leads our digital strategies and data analytics team. He's been with Jacobs over 11 years now. He is a builder SME in his own right, a project manager currently managing the implementation of builder and continued sustainment of the builder system over in Korea for the U.S. Army garrisons over there. Has been at that for a few years now and continues to serve the ROC in that capacity, as well as lead a team of data scientists and data engineers in providing digital strategies and solutions to our clients. And Zach Carper, he's one of our newest members, been with the firm just over 8 months, a data scientist and Army veteran. And I'm going to hurry up and get off the stage because he's got to catch a flight because tomorrow's his daughter's 5th birthday, and he owes her a donut. So I want to make sure we get him home on time. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jared and Zach. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, I'll get us back on schedule, so we'll be done at 3, I promise. So anyway, on the last presentation, I really enjoyed a lot of the graphics. I can see a lot of good Tableau work, and it's just really nice to see how this space has continued to mature over the years. So today, Builder Vision, well, first, Daigon, thanks for sharing your stage. I'm surprised you let me back, but thank you. If you saw me last year, you know. If you know, you know. Okay. So, but this brief on Builder Vision really is, it's an example of how the Army is using Builder to answer questions that Builder wasn't designed to do. And so this really is Zach's brief, but I just want to set the stage and provide a little bit of context and kind of introduce where it came from, what it is, before we get into the nuts and bolts of the brief, which really is the demo of the tool itself. And so real quickly, just kind of go over key builder capabilities from my perspective, some current intelligence gaps that we're seeing at the DPW, Builder Vision, where it came from, its capabilities, use case, and then we'll get to the demo, which will be the bulk of our presentation. So from a data science perspective, the key builder capabilities, or at least from my opinion, number one, it's clearly it's the asset and equipment inventory. If you know what you have, you can continue to layer more and more information on it. It's the base layer of the cake. But I don't want to overlook some of the other attributes on the information in Builder, the detailed nameplate information. It's becoming more and more critical, and thankfully, if you know Builder, you know that when we do assessments, we capture a ton of information. So if you were in training, you saw that yesterday. Make, manufacturer, model, serial number, year, I mean, all this information, and it really provides a lot of good intel to from the nameplate information to do other things. For instance, solving category management issues, to understand how much of a specific manufacturer that you have to minimize the amount of training and tooling that's required to manage all of these assets. And so, and also from a supply chain consideration, if you know the bench stock that's required for each part based on the manufacturer, you can start to sum up all those parts and pieces and do the research to figure out the suppliers. Do they have the supply you need for just-in-time parts? And so Builder is incredible. It's got so much information. Clearly, it's got condition ratings, financial and life cycle projections, and then the work item details. So here at Jacobs, or I can speak for me personally, I'm a big fan of Builder. I have been, and we are excited to see what the next evolution of Builder is going to look like. But as good as Builder is, there are some functional gaps, not of Builder, intelligence gaps that the DPW has. And so part of the genesis of this Builder vision was to come up with a way to answer some of these other questions that Builder wasn't intended to solve. And so there is a lot of data out there. A lot of what we're hearing is that our clients are data rich and they're intelligence hungry. And so clearly a lot of installations, they've got builder data, CMMS data, project data in various locations, manpower, financials, but what they've lacked is the ability to synthesize all of that information into a common picture, and that's a really big challenge, and it's going to take a while, but Builder Vision is one of those tools, and there's other tools out there that's trying to tackle some of that problem. And so as much information as they have, they're still trying to make prioritized decisions based on the operational risk. And there's other things that we've been noticing from our clients that as more and more people get engaged in Builder, the load on the servers is getting increased, and you get data exports from Builder and you share that around the organization, and maybe they're old and someone's got a new one, and so just having a consistent sheet of music that everybody's looking at can be a problem as well. But one of the things I'll try to get quickly here is the inability to integrate with other data sources. It's been a big challenge for the Department of Public Works, and so that is kind of the rationale behind creating Builder Vision. And so very simply, Builder Vision is it's just a versatile software platform that allows you to solve complex problems. And it does allow you to streamline processes, increase task efficiency, but the primary benefit here is the software to be able to define a problem that you currently have and a tool to be able to solve that problem that's got enough flexibility in it to ingest different types of data, and so that was where that came from. And so the historical development of this tool, and to be clear, this is not a Jacobs software. I don't sell Builder Vision. This is an Army platform on the Army IT system that they have used for the mission side. So I know Zach won't tell you how they use it to target bad guys and stuff, but on the facility side, it's a newer incarnation, and it really started with a man by the name of Jason Wendell out of Fort Leavenworth. So he developed the initial concept in Power BI to try to synthesize the builder data in a way that he needed it to look. And so from there, it went to ID training, where Jason Zeller and John Brosias took it from Power BI and put it into a Palantir Foundry or Army Vantage platform, and then it continued to grow from there to all of MCOM, and now Builder Vision has builder data in it from all of active Army, Guard, Reserves, and the use cases are continuing to grow every day. And so real quick, Palantir Foundry, a lot of us are familiar with Tableau, Power BI, and Palantir Foundry might be a newer one that you haven't heard of. But like Microsoft Excel, Microsoft is the company, Excel is the application, Palantir is the company, Foundry is the application, is the equivalent there. But there are lots of technology stacks that the government uses, and whether it's Amazon S3 to store your data, transform through Databricks, visualized in Tableau. There's all kinds of new tools that are coming online, and a lot of the presentations have looked really well, really good. I can recognize a lot of really stellar Tableau work in those, and so I am a fan of those technology stacks. But one of the drawbacks of some of these visualization tools is the one-way data push. So Tableau, Power BI typically will read data in. These visualization tools will read data in from a database and visualize it in any manner of ways to give you the intel you need by aggregating. But one of the drawbacks is they don't do very good at writing back to the database. So if you need an application that has visualizations where something needs to be changed in the database in the background, Palantir Foundry does that because Palantir has a data warehouse. It has the data engineering tools to cleanse, transform the data, and the visualization tools all in one single platform that allows those communications from visualization all the way back to the database to be seamless. But one of the other real drivers for Palantir Foundry is the ability to hook into other systems. So similar how our phones will pull emails from an email server, Palantir can pull in data from other systems of record. Let's just say Maximo, for example. It can connect to Maximo and fetch that data, so when Maximo changes, Foundry changes. And Foundry really is not a software that's designed with a single purpose. It's a software that's designed to ingest data from multiple systems to make those more complex analysis. So some of the defining features that kind of guide us when we developed this application is just to have easy access to builder data, to integrate with other data sources, export data very quickly for whatever you want to find, a user-friendly interface, but primarily it's give you the freedom and the flexibility to craft your own tool to solve the problems that you currently have. And so what are some of the use cases that we're seeing? Number one, it's the packaging of work items into projects. We all know that Builder has work items, and that you can cluster those by system, by building. Let's say all of your HVAC work items for a particular building, you want to bundle those into a project. And so that's not something unique that only Palantir Foundry can do, but the ease in which you can now look across multiple years and pull work items from year 3 into year 2 and year 1 into year 2 to minimize the disruptions that you have on operations, because you don't want to go and put a single building under construction every year as builder says, now replace this, now replace this. And so it's giving us new tools in order to package work items, but not just package them, help get better cost estimates. So we all know that the requirements coming out of Builder, they're the financial requirements of that line item. But in order to come up with a good project estimate, you've got to incorporate the soft costs, the indirects, the design, the crane, the temporary fencing, the general contractor overhead and profit. There's all of these other cost elements that need to be packaged into a project, and we have the ability within Foundry to define what those escalation factors are. We can pre-populate them with a specific percentage to get to a better cost estimate. And so when you look at the requirements across the next 10 years, it might tell a little bit truer story if you've got the full cost for projects and not just the work requirements. So just another running mass quality control corrections, and then I'll move on quickly. So one of the big things that we've been doing with the Army is querying the data across the Army enterprise to define errors. And so if the data in Builder does not conform to the Army business rules, we can quickly write a test and identify which records of data don't conform. And if they don't conform, we can export those record IDs, throw them at Cyril, and Cyril can quickly update everything, which is a lot more streamlined than multiple installations being told, clean your data, and maybe a lot of them don't know how to do that yet. And so there's just some process efficiencies for mass data corrections as business rules change. And so the applications that Zach will demo here are just the main homepage that has a lot of information in Builder, the fit tool that allows you to run scenarios, the reassessment app, which was developed by JMC. They needed to define what to do reassessments on that fit their budget, and so they developed a methodology for prioritizing which buildings get reassessments for which systems. And so we were able to, and Zach will show you, create a big red button that put all of their logic and codified it so that they can identify what needs to be reassessed, and then the quality control app. So with that, just like to introduce Zach. He's been an incredible attribute to my team, and he's continuing to challenge through his previous Intel experience, how we can bring that type of capabilities to the facility space. So, Zach.
All right, for this demo, I will just get right into it for the sake of time. So at first, we'll cover the home page. When you go on Builder Vision, this is what you'll be met with. It's a broad overview. There's multiple tools on it. It could look a little confusing, so I'm going to break it down so all of you understand it. So when you open it, you're met with a table here on the left, which is filters that you can choose at the ID level, garrison, work activity, and you can also add additional filters if you would like, and we'll get into that with a use case as well. That filter hits this table right here, and basically the first 3 columns are locked. So as you filter down specific information that you need, that will change based on the filter. Above this, we have different sections. So the initial, when you come into Builder Vision, you're met with the 2024 overview, and then there's additional tabs that we'll get into. Here, as you drill down, as you filter down, there's certain averages that you can see, and that will change and fluctuate as you drill down to whatever meets your RFI. Below that, we have the actual cost summary, as well as the amount of work items and the count of the buildings, which will change. Below that, we have the repair, replace, and paint, like a pie chart. So you can hover it, and it'll tell you what percentages are what, depending on what you filter down to. Beside it, we have the lines of effort breakdown. So there was new lines of effort recently established, and so we'll get into that specifically for our use case here in a minute. Beside that, we have the funding by the fiscal year for the actual cost. So as you break down and you drill down into the home page, that will fluctuate as well. Here is the date of ingestion. So when we push our updates and we update the data within Builder Vision, this date populates how current that data is. To the top right, we have a how-to. And what this contains is, first, documentation. So you can open the documentation, and it answers like basic questions. So if you're curious about something simple how to do in terms of navigating to the front page, how to export data, the different tools and training. And actually, soon we'll have training videos. My buddy, myself, and Nate Gundrum, if any of you know him, we've been recording training videos that will help all of you. Next is submit an issue. It doesn't have to actually be an issue. If any of you have any recommendations on how to better suit this app for your specific needs, we can view that there, or you can just email us directly. And that's what you type in a comment, label the issue, check a priority 1 through 3, and that's it. Next is the data catalog. So what this does is it shows you all the backing data sets that we currently have in Builder Vision, and this does include Final 9 as well. What you can do is actually, you can open this data catalog and you can click on an individual data set. And so if there's any views within Builder Vision that we don't currently have on the home page or within one of our tools, you can actually build that view customly here. And so what you do is, as you can see here, it's work items. And so you can click the drop down and you can click certain columns of data that you would like to view. After that, you can actually save that layout, and then you can also add or remove charts so you can come back to it later. Next, we have the upload data feature. So currently we're Nate and I are currently uploading the data on our own. We're actually establishing live connections as well via the SQL Server. But if for some reason you do need to add your data, this is just a how-to guide. We've been reworking the back end so it can handle more than 12,000 megabytes. It'll be more efficient that way. But we recommend that you just email us and we'll add it for you, just for the sake of not messing anything up. The next is the contact information. So if you need anything, you can just open this and you can shoot Nate, I, or John Versailles an email. Next is the export data option. There's two buttons. I'm not sure why we have that, but if you want to click the how-to and then click export instead of just clicking the green export option, you can do that. And what this does is exports everything within that table that you filtered down to. And so, I'll show you for the use case and how that could be beneficial. Next is frequently asked questions. So again, this is like a living document. If we receive like the same amount of question multiple times, we'll just add that here, as we know like it's a common issue or someone's confused about something. Next is the Object Explorer. So as I showed you with the data catalog, individual data sets, this is a culmination of all those data sets. So if you just need like a certain KPI or a certain view, you can do that here. If you know you might need all of the data within Builder, you can just do that here instead of an individualized object in the data catalog. Up next is historical data. This is something we've been adding to as we progress. We've actually been able to implement and track historical data. We implemented a change log that essentially just tracks the dates of when the data is ingested when we update it. And so it compares the current BCI to the last year's BCI, and it fluctuates. You can filter down, and this table will change as well. Next is the components by building. When you utilize this, for example, in this scenario, we use Fort Liberty for the D30 HVAC. It will show you a breakdown of each building and the component associated with that. So you can see how it lists and how many components there are for each one. The next is the cost by component. Same filter. This is for fiscal year 2025. It estimates, $204,000 is the actual cost, and it gives you the current FCI and BCI rating. Next is the funding by fiscal year. So this is for 2025, and it just gives you a general overview of what you'd expect, a D30 HVAC for the section subsite AC unit split system to cost according to that location. Next is this HQIS data. So you can search anything relevant to whatever data you need. For this, I used AMC, and you can add additional filters to meet whatever RFI you have. In the top right, we have a save module states. So if there's like a certain view that you're going to consistently come back to, you can just click that and then save that filter that you have. So that way you're not having to rebuild it every time you come back. And you can label them to, this is building 101 at X area. And so that way you're not having to constantly rebuild the filters. Up next, we have the actual table itself. So what you can do is, for the example, you can query Fort Liberty on the filter, and you can click just one of these rows. When you click this row, it opens up additional functionality within Builder Vision. So here, you can look at the units assigned, and again, you can add custom filters, whatever you might need to meet your RFI. The next is the overview. So it just breaks down a broad overview of what you've clicked on. That code in the top left is the actual object, so that building ID. Here is just a map overview of where it's located, just giving general information about that. And we'll add more functionality to this as we go. For use case 1 for the homepage, we have Joe needs to find a list of all the junior enlisted and junior and so permanent party barracks at Fort Liberty. So for this, what we'll do first is we'll query Fort Liberty. We'll check that under the garrison. Next up, we'll go to our lines of effort breakdown. So we'll click that. And then we know it's permanent party barracks, so we're going to look at LOE 1. Well, instead of looking externally for the long cat code description, what we can do is we can just click that button in the top left, and it'll open basically a dictionary of what all those mean. So we can verify that we need, 7211 for our long cat code description. Now, if we look in the filter, obviously when we open up the home page, we don't have that capability initially for the category code. So we'll just click Add Filter, and then we'll add the category code filter. After that, you'll see there's 72,111, so we can click that. This will in turn give Joe a list of all the barracks assigned to that cat code, and then what Joe can then do is export that into an Excel. The next demo is the fit tool. So for this, we have Jody. He needs to find the BCI of Building 106 at Fort Liberty, as well as a possible cost estimate year by year for the next few years based on constrained and unconstrained scenarios. So unlimited funding and no funding. So to get to that tool, we'll click the fit tool in the top left. Here you'll see basically a guide telling you how to drill down. So we'll look for readiness, we'll put Fort Liberty, and we'll put Building 106. After that, we'll click the data view, which will take us to this page. So this shows us a constrained scenario, so basically he has no money, and he can kind of see how the BCI fluctuates year by year. Next, he has unconstrained, so this is unlimited funding, and it shows how it impacts the BCI year by year, as well as cost. When you're actually on this application, you hover, it actually gives you more information on each bar, which is pretty cool. Next is a constrained FCI, so no funding scenario. Next we have the Q rating. So this is actually a recent RFI. So someone needed to be able to predict the Q rating on how it fluctuates under a constrained scenario for the FCI. And so if you look under the BCI year, how it fluctuates, you'll see the Q rating. And then you can take that information and export it as well into an Excel format. Next we have the work items. So here you can see all the work items are related to Building 106 at Fort Liberty. If you need that, you can just export that data, and it has another example of the paint, replace, repair, breakdown. And you can also add additional filters if needed. Within the fit tool, you have the ability to look through the QC5i data. So you can do that here, add additional filters, and then export it if needed. Here you can also save your module state, so if you're in this application a lot, you know you need a specific view as the data quality changes and the data updates, you can just save it there, kind of like what you did on the home page. Here's the documentation. I can just click that for general documentation about the fit tool. Up next, we have a question.
Yeah, we had a question coming online. So is this Builder Vision platform like what the ESMS Power BI visualization will be?
Will be? I'm not entirely sure. I mean, we have like a, yeah, I'm not sure. You want to take that?
From what we saw from the demo from both Kurt and Matt, it looks as though there is some parity in what we're providing in Builder Vision right now. There's still, it's still in development. The map capabilities that Zach was just showing is still in its developmental stages right now, but there will be some capability that ESMS is developing or has already developed that we're using in Builder Vision right now with current builder capabilities. As we know, ESMS is still, somewhat down the road for many of us for accessibility right now. So what we're providing in Builder Vision allows for immediate access. Over.
All right, up next we have the map. So this is an application that we developed. There's not too much functionality included in it yet. So you have the ability, you can just click map right here, and you can just see basically like a heat map of where everything is that belongs to a certain command, or down to like a building level. So for this example, it's just ForceCom out of Fort Liberty. And it kind of shows the concentration on the map of where all their assets are and buildings and so on. Up next we have the lab app. So this is actually a really cool RFI that we received and turned it into an actual application. So the US ATA needed to be able to view other labs in a format and quickly determine the highest priorities based on BCI, FCI inspection date, and quality code or functional code. And so here you just click the labs button and it opens in an overlay format the 62 laboratories that they needed to track. And so what we have here is a general overview as well as filters that he can drill down on, and they can see exactly the average of the FCI and the BCI from whatever level, as well as the work cost. And they can add additional filters, columns, and so on. Here they can view their work items. As they filter down the previous page, it will change the work items here. Next, QC5i, the exact same. We also added some KPIs that they can utilize to get a better understanding of the information that they need to view. And then we have a map functionality. So what this is, it basically just shows where all his assets are all over the globe. You can hover over an actual lab and see general information. If you look at this, you can kind of get a broad idea of what we're going to be doing with the map app in general moving forward. We're still working on that. Next is the reassessment app. Use case for this is John is trying to find buildings to possibly prioritize for reassessments at Fort Liberty and wants to leverage the JMC's reassessment methodology in order to do so. So here what you'll do is just click the reassessment button in the top right, top left of the screen, and you'll be met with this page. So the first thing I recommend if you go and utilize this is click the reassessment guide in the top right. And what this does is it shows you how how JMC kind of structures their reassessments. It's a few pages, so you can scroll and read through it on your own time, but that way you can understand if it's something you can use or not. After that, what you do is literally just click that button, and it basically imports the logic from that PDF that we developed to put it within that button. And after that, you can just filter down to whatever you need. For this case, Fort Liberty again, and you can kind of see what it recommends. In the top right of the screen, you'll see an export building by their BCI, inventory, or the building data. And so what that means is you can actually export the building level BCI if you need to, the additional inventory. And that was actually a RFI request for the building BCI. Next is the QA/QC app. So this is something I actually personally developed. It is basically checking the data quality. So Mike wants to check and see if there are any flags for exhaust systems in the Anderson Readiness Center. And so here, to navigate to the QA/QC app, you'll click that button, and you'll be met with this screen. So here you have your filters. You can't add additional filters to this one because there's not really any need right now. But you can look at the site name and so on. So you can drill down as far as you need to go. Top right of the screen is the QC check definitions. Right now there's 9 quality checks that I've implemented. We will be adding more as we receive feedback from users on what they would like to check, if there's any certain type of quality check that they need. It varies, but right now we have the in scope and incorrect quantity value and so on. And what this does is it breaks down exactly what that means. Next, we have the frequently asked questions. Again, running document. If this doesn't answer, we have our emails there. You can contact us. And I've done this multiple times where I'll sit with someone for an hour and go through it so they understand it. It's no problem at all. Top left, so as you see, you can click all flags and it'll automatically populate just all the flags within Builder with the data that we have. So here you can see it's already structuring all flags. You can filter by specific flags, so if there's only certain flag types that you need, you can just open this, check yes or no, if you would like that flag included within the filter, and then it'll populate. There's a reset button to reset all the filters that you do. We have certain KPIs, so as you drill down, it will show you a distribution of the flags by the building, by the site, and by the system, as well as the in-scope KPI. So this in-scope will just tell you if it's in or out of scope. 0 meaning it is, 1 meaning it's not. Here, for this use case, we have the Anderson Readiness Center. We've drilled down to their exhaust system so we can see there are 2 rows of data with 1 flag. In order to see that, we can just click on it, and this will pop out. And it will tell you exactly what flag is associated with that row. After that, what you can do is you can just click the export button, and this will export in a QC5i format, but with the additional flag columns attached. And it'll show you exactly which column contains that flag. We have a couple of you got it? All right.
So, thank you, Zach. So there was a couple nuggets in there I kind of wanted to bring to the forefront. Number one, I don't know if you heard him, but this platform allows you to continually ingest builder data year over year. Maybe ESMS is going to do that in the future, but you're going to start to be able to see trends year over year of how are the buildings trending over time versus just knowing current state. The FIT tool allows you to see the consequence of different funding scenarios on the condition of your facilities. So if you spend no money, how fast will they tank? If you spend everything that builder wants you to do, how fast will they improve? And so those are the 2 bookends of some scenario analysis that we're working on. But the middle of determining a specific funding level and what will happen based on that funding level, if you need to goal seek a certain condition rating for your facilities, it's going to provide you the ability to do those types of things. The quality control app is based on current Army guidance. And so that is based on whatever the Army wants the data to look like. It allows you to query those types of things. And the reassessment app is just a real world example of a client coming to the Army saying, I need something that'll do this. And so in very quick fashion, we are able to create that application to simplify their process. And so we have 2 testimonials. I'm not going to read it to you. I promise you we'll be done by 3. I want to reserve a couple minutes for questions. But basically, these testimonials, this one's from Christina McCarthy Martin, the PM of the AMC Builder program, is just, it's saving her. Let's just simplify it that way. It's really helping her in her business. And the same thing for the next one for Mark Donahue, that it's allowing him to work faster and do things that he hasn't been able to do before. So just examples of people giving feedback on the platform, and it continues to mature from here. So we're not saying we're done with the developments in Builder Vision, but as new requests come in and you're seeking more information, we have put our Builder SMS support at jacobs.com website that you can reach out to for us for questions, recommendations, and we'll be able to provide you more information that way. So that's the end of our show. I hope we're close to 3, but we do we have a minute for a question or 2? I know we're ready for break. If there's no questions, please, thank you.
This is John Crittenden, NAVFAC. Thank you for this presentation. Really powerful capabilities you're demonstrating. I missed it if you talked about whether you're addressing utilities and how the possibility now of like having utilities context with buildings can kind of the multiplication of those things together, put that together through goal seek and other capabilities that you demonstrated. Thank you.
No, great question. And so one of the new things that we haven't demoed is it's a project, it's a utility that's going to ingest project requirements across multiple lines of effort. So facilities is one, utilities is another. There's commander priorities. There's all of these different pockets where installations keep their work in various spreadsheets, and they're needing to find a way to congregate all of these different types of work into a common platform that shows costs by in total, cost by unit, cost by over the years. And so this does have the capability, and we're working that direction, but that will be a feature that's coming on. The challenge is going to be until ESMS comes online and everybody has utilities data in a common format, it's going to take some data engineering. In a specific request, I have all of this project information to manually go through and determine how do we integrate that with the rest of it. So column names and standard data curation type things. So, but great question. It's the compilation of all types of work to be able to show the big picture is something that we have been requested. So next question.
With the Builder Vision, I know at one point in time the data was uploaded quarterly. Is there a plan to keep it quarterly or more frequency?
I'm going to turn to my right. Is it quarterly? Is it going to be sooner? It's going to be weekly, very soon. How soon? I don't know. How soon? How soon? By the end of the month, we'll have weekly updates into Builder Vision. That's current time frame.
So that was sort of my question. You alluded to real-time access to data. So you're, right now, you're at quarterly, you're hoping to get to weekly. How are you affecting the data upload into Vision from the SMS database?
So currently, until a direct pipeline can be connected, you have to manually drop the builder data into Builder Vision. It was quarterly, it's now weekly, and as we move forward, Palantir does have the ability to create an API to connect to these other systems. As it changes, Palantir changes. But at the moment, the data is going to be updated by the end of the month on a weekly cadence.
Are you doing it through an API? It through report uploads.
SQL connection.
So your SQL connecting to SMS to Army hosted builder?
We have Mark Pfister helping us at Cyril doing that SQL connection. I think there's 2 left to be live.
We've got a SQL connection and we're working with Cyril on that. Sorry for the echo.
And try this out. All right, going back to the mapping capability, we saw a number of buildings in their concentrations. Is there also the option to use variables like square footage or any other number of variables that we're trying to filter by?
Yes, sir. If the data has an attribute, you'll be able to customize and pull that in. So if you wanted to filter by certain buildings of a BCI or buildings over a certain size, tenant, mission, if the attribute is in the data, you can create your own destiny for how you would want that map to operate, whatever filters that you want, color code the buildings by condition rating or Q rating, how many projects. It really just provides, it is that tool that if you can articulate the requirement that you're looking for, it's got the flexibility to do it. Good question, thank you. Welcome back.
In the future, is there a plan to incorporate any data from GFEBs?
Data from GFEBs. We're looking into it. And to be honest, part of the vagueness of that answer is a lot of project requirements aren't being loaded into GFEBs. It's being in multiple locations, and once it gets funded, maybe it's loaded and the process unfolds. But there's all these other things that they've got to sort through to figure out which ones are we going to execute. The executed ones that are funded and budgeted and planned, they go into GFEBs, but there's others that don't. And so we're trying to figure that out. So I don't have a great answer yet.
Maybe not in regards to the project. What about demand maintenance orders or preventative maintenance orders and the cost associated with those?
Okay, so the plant maintenance module. So we do have a current request that is looking to ingest not just the facility sustainment requirements, but also the other type of maintenance in there to understand different things like manpower requirements that you need in order to do the PMs and the projects. And so we're actively working on those types of things. They're just I don't want to call them boutique, but sometimes they're a little bit custom to a certain installation or DPW that does things in a unique way. But definitely it is possible, and we're working that. So I think maybe in the future when processes get standardized across the portfolio, it'll be easier for everybody to piggyback on the thing that we do. But until then, some of those things will have to be unique developments that we're very happy to do. And we're happy to take any recommendations and compile those use cases that are really needed out there, and we'll serve those up to our client. And she's been very supportive in helping the organization solve some of these problems. So we're open ears. Thank you. Okay. Well, everybody, thank you for your time. I think we're up for a 15-minute break.
Thank you, Jared and Zach and Jacobs. Thank you, guys. All right, it's break time till 3:15. Come back for the AI takeover. Woo! Spooky.